Guys who poll girls understand the concept of self-fulfilling prophecy, which is a belief about oneself or others that influences behavior in a way that causes that initial belief to be fulfilled. Basically, if you believe that something's true, you'll act like it, which can lead to it becoming reality. I'm Joseph, by the way, and I used to hardly be able to talk to women. I dedicated the last few years of my life to learning how men can become the most socially confident versions of themselves and how to attract quality women at the highest levels possible. Now, many dating coaches only teach communication, which is cool, but I found through personal experience and working with men one-to-one that poor inner game leads to poor outer game and unfulfilled potential. I want to share with you how a man's beliefs about himself, society, and women affect his actual dating results through the law of self-fulfilling prophecy with specific examples today. So let me tell you a quick story that illustrates how this works in everyday life. Okay, there was a bank called the Last National Bank. It's a stable, solvent institution, great bank. However, a rumor spreads among depositors that the bank is insolvent and it's about to fail. This rumor, although initially false, prompts depositors to panic and rush to withdraw their money. Okay, the sudden mass withdrawal overwhelms the bank's liquid reserves as no bank keeps enough cash on hand to cover all the deposits simultaneously due to the fractional, reserve banking system. So as a result, the bank cannot meet the demand for the withdrawals, it becomes insolvent and it fails. Thus, the false rumor of insolvency becomes a reality because of the collective actions driven by the belief in the rumor. So that's an example of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And this happens all the time in all facets of dating. So number one is belief in your value, and this might be the biggest one. Okay, let me put it to you like this. Imagine that you were a used car salesman and you didn't have belief in the cars that you were selling. You actually thought that they were all pieces of junk that barely worked and were about to break down as soon as you sold it to the prospect. So how excited are you going to be to go into work every single day and sell those cars? How excited are you going to sound when a single mother comes in and she really needs a car, but you know that the car you're going to sell her is about to break down? Okay? And how easily do you let them go to another dealership when they say, here, I'm just going to look around for a little bit? Okay? Now, let's say you were a car salesman selling a Mercedes or something that you know is a reliable, amazing car. It's at a great value, and you know that this car is going to make them extremely happy. It's going to, be reliable. It might even boost their status, let's say. Okay, how much more belief would you have? And then which would then manifest in your behavior, in your tone when talking to customers, and then your success at the dealership. Okay, so that's sort of like a sales analogy, which, happens a lot when we're talking about dating. Okay, so in dating, when you don't believe in yourself as having value, then it shows in your voice and it shows in your energy. That's one thing. Okay, think about it. Why would a girl want to be with a guy who doesn't have full belief in himself? Like, we can just look at this from an evolutionary perspective, but let's try to take the perspective of the girl. Let's say you're a girl and a guy walks up to you, but he just doesn't really sound like he believes in himself. Okay, what are you gonna do as that girl? Well, is this guy gonna help you survive? Is this guy gonna help you, reproduce, protect you, ward you off from defenders or whatever? Probably not. He doesn't believe in himself, right? So you're just gonna leave. It's nothing personal, it's just, evolution, okay? And it shows when a guy doesn't believe in himself in the fact that he doesn't go out. He doesn't go to bars, he doesn't, approach women, he doesn't talk to women. And he doesn't improve his social skills. He procrastinates on finding love in his social life until he reaches a point where they think they then feel good about themselves, which they never really reach because they think it's external things, but usually it's just internal things that they need to fix. Okay, it leads to self-rejection, and then the girl doesn't even have to reject you. All right, you reject yourself. All right, so I used to do this myself in the past. I remember when I didn't believe in myself, I used to have a great conversation with a girl who was attractive that I would have actually, probably dated, but I would get her number and then I would just never text her. Like, how stupid is that? I put in all that work and then I would just never text her. Now, why would I do that? I did that because I just wanted to keep the happy memory of me getting the girl's number, and I didn't believe that things were actually gonna follow through, that they were actually gonna happen, okay? And when I didn't believe in myself, like basically my value as a man, I would actually feel guilt for talking to women. That's how bad it was, guys, and that's how bad your belief in yourself can affect your results. Okay, one exercise that I do with clients is I have them write down all of the reasons why they're a win for a woman. And so they can recognize all their strengths and all their value as a man. Okay, and really quick, if you are a guy that wants to become more confident with talking to women, or you want to start going on more dates consistently, you can click the link below if you want to do that. And the second one is belief that the girl will stop for you, specifically when you see a girl walking down the street. When you have the belief that the girl will stop for you, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and she stops for you. Okay, you can test this today. Like, this is very testable, just try it. All right, so when you don't really believe that she's gonna stop for you, what happens is you make a really weak attempt with your voice and with your arm, and you do it from too far away, or you don't really get in front of her because you don't really believe that she's gonna stop, or you don't really believe in yourself. And so what happens is she, barely even notices you, or she doesn't feel your authority. She doesn't feel your masculinity. So what's that gonna look like? You're gonna be like, hey, excuse me, I saw you walking over there. And then she's gonna blow right past you, basically like you're non-existent. But you can try this today if you really want to. Just have the belief in your mind that the girl will stop, and she will, a lot more times than if you didn't, okay? Now, belief that she's out of your league. Okay, if you believe that a girl's out of your league, then you either don't approach or you just talk to her platonically. Like, this could be a very attractive girl at your gym, and you're like, man, this girl is just way out of my league. And so what you do is you just keep things friendly forever, because you feel that if you made a move, it wouldn't work out well. Okay, or the belief that a girl will give you her number. Okay, so let's say you just had an amazing conversation with a girl, but at the very end, you don't believe that she's actually gonna give you her number, and then so she doesn't. All right, let me explain to you how that works. So that's similar to how you get a girl to stop because you believe in it. When you just had an amazing interaction, it doesn't have to be that amazing, but once you just had a good interaction with a girl, you kind of did like the steps, you were man to woman, like you qualified her, she knows something about you, you know something about her, there's some chemistry there, you wanna get her number. After all that's already in place, what you have to do is just believe in yourself that she's going to give you her number. You don't sit around and like wait and hesitate and ask for her number. You're not like, hey, I was thinking, maybe, do you want to exchange numbers? See, all you have to do is literally pull out your phone out of your pocket and say, here, let's exchange numbers. And you're not even looking at her. You're just looking at your phone at that point. You're expecting her to start reading off her number to you. Okay, why does that work? Well, think about it from the girl's perspective once again. Here's a guy in her perception that's so confident in himself that you're about to give, your number to him. And so that shows a lot of value. Okay, it shows pre-selection. He's probably had success before socially. He probably has things going for him, or he probably has a high self-esteem about himself that would make him want to do that, right? So that's how that works. And once again, you can test this. All right, another self-fulfilling prophecy, the belief that she will cheat on you or leave you. Okay, like when you believe that a girl's gonna cheat on you, or you're paranoid that a girl's gonna leave you, then you tend to become overly defensive of her and restrictive, and she feels really trapped. She feels really, claustrophobic around you, and then she'll do it. I'm not going to say that all girls are going to cheat, but a lot of them will. And a lot of them will just leave you, regardless, because they feel trapped. So that's how it manifests in reality. Okay, another one. The belief that women only want the best man, so why try? This is sort of the modern belief that, women only want whatever the top, 5% of men. I don't really know what it is. And so I never work with men who have this belief. Like, if somebody has this belief, I just can't really work with them. Because usually, 90% of the time, they've entrenched their identity so deep into victimhood, okay, that it takes a real come to Jesus moment for them to change. Whether that might be, okay, they turn 40 and they realize, all right, if I don't make a change, I'm gonna die alone, or I'm not gonna be able to have kids, or, they spend years being alone and they realize, man, I actually want romantic experiences. Or they see a guy that's actually, uglier than them in public and they realize, man, that guy's uglier than me and he has an attractive girlfriend and I don't. Whatever the come to Jesus moment is, that's above my scope of work. It really is. And so today in this video, actually, you'll see their negativity in the comments of this video only because I dare to challenge their victimhood. And when you challenge somebody's victimhood, it's like the worst thing you can do to them. All right, and listen, I understand that modern dating's changed. I understand that dating apps are a thing. But, respectfully go outside. Every single time that I go outside and I go to Target or I go to the bar or I go to Walmart or I go to the gym, I see a very average guy with an attractive girl multiple times every day. And I made a video about this one time and still a couple guys commented, no, that's not true. That's not true. I live in a big city and I never see it. But that's because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you believe that average guys, average looking guys, cannot have fulfilling relationships with women, then that will literally manifest in your lens of how you see the world. You will block it out because you don't want to believe the truth. Okay, but regardless, I know that's not the majority of guys watching this video. I'm sorry. But with that said, most men have been swayed by this losing belief that only the top percent of men will have success in dating to some extent. So do not feel guilty. I hope I did not offend you too much when I sort of laid out that reality right there, because it's very easy to buy into this fear because some very sinister people have orchestrated this for their own benefit. And then a large group of guys have hopped onto that. And so that's going to be a thing that will influence you socially if you are, fall into that world, unfortunately. So let me put it to you like this. Does somebody with a passion for selling ice cream decide that they're not going to sell ice cream because Ben & Jerry's already exists? Do they say, well, I had these hopes and dreams of starting an ice cream shop, making all the children happy in my town, but you know what? Ben & Jerry's, they have a multi-billion-dollar company. That's not fair. I'm just not going to do it now. No, because that would be extremely sad, right? It just wouldn't make sense. So there's cities with 50 ice cream shops. And all of these ice cream shops, they can all serve people. They can all be happy ice cream shop owners, except the guy who decided not to go into business because there was already a Ben & Jerry's. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? All right. Now, belief in your life circumstances. When you feel like you don't have time to date, you won't have time to date. All right, you just won't find the time. When you feel like there's no quality woman in your area, then you won't find any quality women in your area. Once again, the lens that you're filtering the world through will literally stop you from seeing these women, or you just won't go out and talk to them. Okay, there was a guy that scheduled a strategy session with me the other day. And I asked him, all right, well, what do you want to improve in your dating life? And he's like, well, I want to start dating some quality women. He's like, but the city that I live in, there's no quality women. They're all, trash women or something like that. And the thing is, he lived in a major city. There was tons of women in his city. And so I asked him, well, it sounds like I'm not really going to be able to help you, because it sounds like you don't have like a dating problem, like a communication or a, problem. It sounds like you have a location problem, and the only thing that you can really do is move, right? And he's like, yeah. And so basically, this guy was so entrenched in this, belief, in this self-fulfilling prophecy, that it ruined his dating life. Unfortunately, and this happens with so many guys. Okay, another one. I don't have value because I don't make X income, or I don't have my own house yet. If you believe that you don't have value because you don't make X income, then you won't have value, okay? Then you won't have success. I'm not gonna sit here and try to convince you, but I'm gonna tell you that this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I have, experientially been in a place where I didn't make any money at all, and I had success with women. Now I've seen this happen many, many times again with guys who are broke and they have success with women. I've worked with guys who, aren't millionaires and they have success with women. Okay, but once again, that's your choice to believe. Now, belief in the process of self-improvement. Many guys believe that their success with women is predetermined, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Many guys haven't learned that becoming more attractive is something that they can do, or that communicating with women and dating is a skill. And it's funny because nobody doubts that if a basketball player wanted to shoot a better three-pointer percentage, he would get a coach, he would work on his form, and he would practice every day, and his three-pointer percentage would go up every single time, right? Nobody doubts that. Nobody doubts that if you took a comedy improv class and you did that maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, you would get funnier over time. Nobody doubts that if you went to the gym, if you ate protein and you had a caloric surplus, you would get bigger. Okay, but guys will doubt that they can become better with women and more attractive, and then they just don't. All right, now here's another one. Belief that it takes years and years to get to a place where you can have a happy dating life. Okay? In most hard cases, like let's say that you were raised in a jungle by wolves, and then you finally, encountered society, and then you literally didn't know like the English language, like you didn't know that to take a crap in the toilet, then it might take you a bit longer, right? So for some people, it's gonna take a bit longer to get to that point where you're really happy with your dating life, you're happy with the number, and you're happy with the quality of dates that you're able to go on. But with that said, most guys can get to this place within a couple months. Within a couple months, if they're doing this correctly. All right? Now, the belief that talking to women requires a lot of effort and is hard. All right? If somebody started a conversation with you and it was very clear that they were putting in a ton of effort, that they were trying really hard to get an outcome, then how would that make you feel? Like, seriously. Like, let's say not even a woman. Like, let's say a guy walked up to you and he just really, all right, so imagine you're a celebrity, right? Okay, yeah, that's a good example. Imagine you're a famous celebrity and a guy runs up to you. He's like, hey, John, can I have your autograph? You're my favorite. I have posters of you everywhere on my wall. Like, please, I want your autograph. Would you then view that guy as an equal to you? Would you view him as a potential friend? Or would you view him as a fan? Okay, because of the fact that he's trying so hard for your attention, the fact that he's asking you for an autograph, all right, that's an extreme example. Then you would be like, okay, well, that would be normal if you were a celebrity, but you would not classify him as an equal, right? So when a guy's trying really hard, it hurts his results. So actually, you just try less hard because less is more. All right, so I hope you guys were able to get at least maybe one self-fulfilling prophecy out of this video. Now, if you're a guy that wants to be able to communicate with women confidently, like it's not something that has a ton of fear behind it, you want to start going on more dates consistently with quality women, and you potentially want to work with me personally so that I can help you get there fast, you can click the link below this video if you want, and then you can schedule a strategy session with me, and then we'll take it from there.